Good morning. We're going to do part two. Well, this isn't really part two, but this is to add on to the last one that we did, which was showing you how to basically use strings and present strings on a window. So this time we're going to take strings, and I already set up some of the interface to make it go a little faster. So we're going to have the string to present into basically a web page or web UR. So this here is a web view. We added a simple field where you can type in the address to a website, and we'll use this as a simple button to go to that for this. And then we'll also have a search field, so you can also say search Google or Bing or something like that. So I already hooked up the outlet for the web view. As you can see, it's right here. You do it the same way I showed you before. The thing is, you'll notice is it's not a weak variable, it's a strong variable. And we also have to import WebKit, and we're also going to be needing foundation. So you have to actually type this in, import WebKit, import foundation at the top of your code field. Okay. And let's try to open this up a little bit more so we can see what's going on. So first, we're going to start off, before we create the other outlets here, with some things to, when we first launch the window, that it will just load a default web page. So we're going to do that right here, where application did finish launching. So we're going to be putting that code over here. And we're going to want to set a few properties for this view. So it's called view web main is what I called it. And I want to set it up to should close with window. And as you can see, it started typing. Now this is a Boolean value, so we want to say true. And so what this does is it if the window should close, so should the web view. And we're going to talk here on the launch cycle. Now let's give one other property. There's a ton of properties actually, and to find this, because this is the web view, you would search for the web view information. Let me type in this one right here. This one is for draws background. We are going to set this one to true. You can set it to false. It does something completely different if you do that, though. Okay. Now, like I said, you can go up here into the help area, and there's like a little search field, and you can type in web view. Oops, I didn't actually pop that up. Let's see if it does it again. Right. Maybe we need the documentation API. I think so. Oh, there we go. Web view. So it brought up actually this web frame, and it gives you all the kind of information you need. A little, it shows you like some information here, but it doesn't really tell you how to program it per se. It's a little different. It's a little trickier than the way they have it in here, but it does give you the information you need to know that if you're going to be using the web view, and right now it says web frame. Let's type web view in there again. So when you type web view, you can see there's a lot of different stuff in here. There's references to different properties and whatnot. So you can search a lot of different information. There is a lot it can do. So you can see in here there's frames, webview.show, webview, web frame. So there's a lot of different stuff. And obviously you can go over to Apple Developer and you can get more information. But as you can see, you can kind of keep going down, and now you can see some of the different stuff that you can use. There's a lot of different things that the web view can actually do. And we're basically just going to do really simple. Add a URL to launch it, and then we're going to allow the user to change the URL and be able to search something like Google or Bing. So it's going to be pretty simple. Okay, so we want to start off with a start URL. So I'm just going to create one, and let's call it RP start URL. RP is something I put at the beginning of all my own private type stuff, so I know it's mine and it's not part of something that belongs to the system. Excuse me. So we are going to make that equal to an NS URL, and the NS URL is a string, so we have to, as you can see, it starts actually auto typing for you and kind of shows you how to set it up. So we just click on that, and so our string, which we're going to put in here, is going to be between quotes, and all we have to do is put HTTP / and let's put Google in there. Everyone knows Google, right? Okay, so that will be our start URL. And next we have to actually make what's called an NS URL request. Now, so let's do that. And let's give it a name of and so okay, that's going to equal an NS URL request. There it is. We can tab the rest of it out. Okay. And when you start it off, like if you actually want to see what it does, like I'm going to do URL, okay? And you can see that there's different ones you can select. I just want this one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this value that we added up here, right above, to the URL, because we did make it a URL. So let's grab that and just copy it and replace it in there. Now there's one thing we have to add to the end of it, is we have to add an exclamation to it, make it explicit. And there we go. We have what we need. And now finally all we need to do for this is now load the start page. So actually, well, let's just put a little comma there. Load start page. And to do that, we need to say self dot, and now we call the outlet that we made this web view, and it's already started doing it for us, so we can just tab it out. And now we need to call mainframe, and see, it didn't bring that up, but now it did. After we typed M, there is mainframe. And now we need to give it a load request, and it's already figured out we wanted load request. And all we need to do, actually, see how it says request and then NSURL here? We don't need to really do that. We can just put in what we typed above here. So we just grab this right here, and we just copy that right into here, go down a line, and we can hit save. And now it should load that web page when we launch this. Now while we're here, let's create some outlets for these other objects on screen. Like we do have this field here. We want to create an outlet for it. Okay. And let's see, we should call this field URL. Connect that. And while we're here, let's also make an outlet for this one. Let's call this field search URL. Well, actually, not really a URL. Let's just say search string, maybe. Field search string. And So we have now outlets for those two objects there. And then our buttons will need actions down there. And we can actually just add them right now. So let's add one for this go button. And let's call this button go URL. Okay. Ooh, it made it an outlet though. I wanted that in action. I deleted it, but it's not really deleted from the system. So now it's going to bring up a warning every time it launches, or a warning that, oh wait, that outlet, it wasn't, I wanted it in action. So let's try that again. Button go URL. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I do that. It's an honest mistake. And then one for the find, and let's go button find string. And again, let's make that an action. Add that down here. Okay. And let's hit save. And let's take a shot at running this. And there we go. It loaded perfectly fine. You see the warning it did bring up. It says failed to connect to button go URL as outlet. Remember we deleted? I just deleted that outlet when it was supposed to be an action. Yeah, Xcode for some reason doesn't care. You created the outlet, even if you deleted all your source base, it still thinks it's there. So, and you can see that it did create us a web page on launch. Right now, these here don't do anything because we haven't added any code for them. I didn't really go over what we did for the layout, but to get all these to stretch the right direction, the main view here, the web view, is locked to the top and sides and bottom. And this button here, actually this button, this field, and this button, and this field are all locked to the right-hand side of the window view. And only this view here that has this view here that has focus ring is locked to the left side of the window view. So that makes this one stretch and the rest of them not. Okay? Pretty simple. Okay, so let's stop that. And let's bring this down here. Okay, so now we want to take, one thing that would be neat is when we first launch that window, we should suggest that that's where you put in a web address. So one thing we can do is go back to right here when it first launches and tell that field to insert a string. So this is kind of similar to now what we did that last project where we added a string to a field. So now you can see how far you can take it into a little bit more of a real application. So I believe we called that field URL. We did. And then we just say string value. And we say equals. And we want to put in there http dot / / So, oops, and I didn't put that in there, right? It should be that. Okay. And now let's run that and see what that does when we launch it. And see, now I put this as a suggested in there, so someone knows, oh, okay, I have to put a web page in there. And okay, so it just tells you, hey, that's what that's for. And that's simply almost like what we did in that first little demonstration I gave. We're going to just keep getting that warning for something that we deleted out of our source code base from that outlet. And some of these other warnings are actually just based upon the layout. They kind of think the layout's a little ambiguous, is the terminology, which, yeah, it could be. Okay, so we have that in there. So now let's try to actually load a URL based upon this field. So let's go to that first button action down here. And so we want to do relatively the same thing that we did up here in our start code, and we want to add that in here. So it's actually even type, but we're gonna load user URL. Okay, and let's see, to do that we should probably do let's say let's look here. Let's say user URL user string. Yeah, user string URL. I want to remember what I'm actually typing in here, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than probably it really needs to be to remember my code. And then we just want to take that value that's in that field URL dot string value. So I'm just going to assign it there. You probably didn't really need to do that, but I'm going to do it for here. And then I'm going to just say we're going to make this into a URL. So let's do this again. I'll call it make URL, and that there should be equal to an NS URL. Oops. And that will be a string. See, because that is a string and that other object was a string, what we really could have done, instead of actually doing this and then adding that in there, we could actually just do that back here. We could actually just do field string like this, and see this top part I did up here, we really don't need to do that. So we can actually just say make URL NS URL string and then say field URL string value. It's really the same thing, and it's one less step. So let's just do that. Now we want to make that into a request, load request. So I'm just going to do this again, and I'm going to say RP make request. I'm going to say this request. I'll know what it means, and that will be equal to NS URL dot request. Okay, and then we typed it out, and we just want this one here. We can just click on it, really, and we just want to add in this property we made up here. I'm just going to copy it. Well, copy and paste. Oops, definitely want a space in between there, and we do want to add an exclamation mark at the end of it. And then finally, we want to load the page. So let's say load view. So load view, and we're going to basically do it just like we did up here. Really the same way. We can actually, if we wanted to, just grab this same code and paste it in down here. The only thing is we want to change this to this. And that should work. Oh, wait a second. It says a little bit like there's an error up there. Let's try it. Let's just try retyping it in. I've noticed sometimes that's a problem. Like it doesn't want you to actually copy and paste. I'll type it back in. It's no big deal. Mainframe and oops. Load request. NS URL. Yes. And okay, let's bring that up here. And we just want to edit this one right here. Yep. And see now the error warning that came up, doesn't come up. So sometimes I notice, like, if you start copy and pasting a lot, it like wants to think that there's an error in there, and it might be maybe there was like some extra white space or something in the code field. Okay, so that right there should load a new URL based upon what's in the field. So let's give it a try, and let's run it. Okay, so you see it brought up Google, and we can resize the window. And let's just type in, say, www.apple.com, because we are on an Apple device, and let's hit go. And sure enough, it loads Apple's website with, ooh, they have something new up here. Ooh, it even says, start something new. Pretty cool. And we can, say, click on iPhone. So you can see that we can switch around. Okay, it would be nice to be able to maybe search the internet. So let's do that next. So again, kind of using the same idea of that last demonstration of just using strings. How far can we take it? Okay, so to search, say, Google, Google has somewhat of a way to do that. So we're just gonna say and so it's really what it is. It's a URL type string, and so we're gonna take basically two pre-made strings and add it to whatever is in the field. So I'm gonna call it RPWSS for web search string, and I'm gonna say P1 because this will be part 1. And that's going to be equal to a string, and I actually have some information. Actually, I'm going to copy this because it's kind of, copy this from some notes, exactly what it is. So this is the first part, which is http google.com search, and then this little query thing. Okay, that's part 1, and we're going to make a part 2 now. So we're going to actually name it relatively the same thing as this last one, but instead we're going to put P2, and that's going to equal the second half of the string that we need to use. And let me go into my notes over here and get the actual string that we need. And we're going to paste it right between these two quotes. And there you go. That's what helps create a search string. And now we just need to combine it with the field text that we have. So let's just do that here, down here, and let's put actually up here a little note. Combine search string. And we'll do it down here. And let's call that my search string equals. And all we have to do now is give it this first part right here. So I'm just going to type it in. This will be the best way. And that's right. So we want that. And then we just use a little plus sign. But unlike that first example I gave you, if you didn't see the first example, go back and check that out. We don't want to put any white space between connecting these. It wants to be one solid string. So now what we do is we go up to, remember, we created an outlet for this, and it was called field search string. So all we have to do is type that in, field search string, and it found it for us. And again, we want to give it a value of string value. It's already typed it for us, so we can just hit tab. And then we just need to hit plus again, and now we wanted to give it the second half of the string that we created up here. So let's type that in, and it brings it up. We want what we call P2, so let's just click on that, and that right there creates our search string. And now we have to convert it back into a URL. So let's say convert to URL. Okay, and so let's say let my search string. I already typed that in there. I did actually. I want to change it to something else. Let's call it search URL. Gotta remember what the heck we typed in there for the last one. We want to make the names different. Okay, so we'll call it my search URL. And so that will be equal to, and we're really basically doing kind of what we did up here. We're just doing the same thing over and over again. So we're going to say ns URL. Okay, and we can just do like that. If you remember how this works, we just want, actually, and we didn't need to put this other thing in here. If you start by hitting URL, it should finish it off for you. And it doesn't look like it wants to this time. Or actually, I remember this is a string. That's what we want it, is a string. I'm thinking of NSURL. I was looking at the top again. So we really just want to copy what we did right there down here. And we just want to add it, my search string. So that creates it to a URL. Then we want to make the request. So we'll say my search request equals the NS URL request. Okay, there it is. And then this one here, we want to give it, yes, the URL. Just type that in there. And actually, we don't need to, what we need to do now is just give it this URL, if we remember how we did it up there. So my search string, is that what it was? No, I think it's my search URL, right? That's what we had. It's right here. It's, yep, my search URL. And we want to give it an exclamation mark at the end. And now we just want to load that into our view. So we do it the same way we did it above here in the go action, and the same as we did it in the first load. So let's just type it in again. Self.viewMain, webmain dot, oops, we want to make sure I use the dot there. Mainframe, and it actually just came up with mainframe. Load request, and there we go, load request. And we want to load in, let's make sure we grab the whole thing. Just this. We don't actually need that. And there we go. So now it should load that in there. And let's give it a try. Okay. Let's first go and load a web page. Let's say we want to load apple.com. Yep. And let's say we want to search, oh, we want some more information on the iPad maybe. We type in iPad, hit find, and here in Google it comes up with an iPad search. And a lot of different information. Oh, here, yeah, we want to compare the models. Oh, we didn't see that at Apple's site. There we go. It would be kind of nice to be able to clear this field, maybe. And there's a lot more things you can do. You can actually add, up here where it says web play, we could add where the actual current page is, so someone knows what site they're on. So there's quite a few other things you can do. And actually, let's just do one last thing. So we can kind of take the last example I showed you and kind of go full circle with it. So let's do that for that field, our find field. And remember what I called it? I think it was called field search. Oh, okay, searching string dot string value. So after it comes up with the search, I think what we're going to do is we're going to empty out that field. Okay, let's see if we can, if that works. And that kind of really takes that last example and puts it into this example. So then when we go to another example, we can take what we learned from this, or maybe even extend this this really simple web browser into maybe a more sophisticated web browser. Well, let's see what it does. One last go. Excuse me. Okay, so let's do one more time. Okay. .com, hit go. Now it obviously would be better to like just hit return and have return bring up this page, and maybe that's what we'll do in the next video. But for now, we'll just go with the button. Well, that's right, we wanted some more information on iPad. I couldn't remember, I don't know where on Apple's site. Maybe I can find information on the iPad. Okay, yeah, oh yeah, compare models. As you can see now, it's given us a clear area so we can search again. So this shows you real simple how you can take that last example that we did and do something as simple as making a web browser. Make strings do something more than just show strings. And so here's just kind of go over the code, look at it really good. Maybe I'll add this project to GitHub, but you can see it's really not that hard. And like I said, you can go into the documentation for the web view. Don't forget you have to import WebKit in Foundation. Foundation is for a lot of this URL stuff. And it's pretty simple to do. And Swift is definitely awesome. It's, it kind of reminds me of AppleScript Studio. Of course, AppleScript is completely different, but it's a lot different than Objective-C. I really like it. It's you can see how fast you can definitely pick it up and learn it, and you can make a pretty decent Mac application. Obviously, we're not doing anything really hard here. It's still pretty basic stuff, but you want to step into this stuff and not go for a home run right away. Okay, well, thank you a lot for joining me, and I'm going to keep bringing some more Mac-based Swift examples. I know there's tons of examples on iOS, so and I'm been doing Mac applications since 1997, so I love the Macintosh. So I'm going to keep bringing more Swift for Mac demonstrations because I love doing Mac applications, and I'm really enjoying Swift after getting 6 months to get to know it since Apple first released it. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.